Welcome back to another edition of NC Sports Weekly News. Plenty of water sport action coming your way as the sailing superstars Ben Ainslie and Franck Amat will face off at the upcoming 2014 Extreme Sailing Series. Pro sailor and Nautical Channel presenter Giancarlo Pedote is now world number one in the minis and is also the new Champion de France. Bernard Stamm and Damien Guillou are rescued in the Bay of Biscay, and the IMOCA 60 has now been towed back into port. A special report with Sébastien Destremont. Hunt for the record, the Maserati team dominates at the Cape2Rio yacht race. Alex Carella is the new F1H20 world champion for the third year in a row. NC Sports, plunge into the action. In what is likely to become one of the biggest sailing stories of 2014, British Olympic champion and America's Cup 34 winner Ben Ainslie and French superstar and Volvo Ocean Race winner Franck Amat have announced their participation in the upcoming Extreme Sailing Series at the recent London Boat Show. Celebrating its 8th year on the international sailing calendar, touring over Asia, the Middle East, and Europe, and now with two new host venues in Russia and Australia, the ESS on the 40-foot catamarans is definitely raising the stakes for the upcoming season. The award-winning format, focusing on stadium racing, created by top manager Mark Turner, now promises to be one of the most competitive events on the current sailing panorama. Kicking off in Singapore on March 20th, the ESS Circus will then be touching port in Muscat, Oman, Qingdao, China, St. Petersburg, Russia, Cardiff, UK, Istanbul, Turkey, the Mediterranean, and finally Sydney, Australia by next December. With both newcomers and reconfirmed entries, a total of 9 elite-level teams representing 7 nations will be on the water to challenge the current 2013 title holders, the Wave Muscat, captained by Leigh McMillan, and a Lingy team runner-up led by Morgan Larson and Ernesto Bertarelli. So stay tuned for more sailing action on the Extreme 40s, as Nautical Channel will be closely following the ESS season with top news, analysis, and full act-by-act coverage throughout 2014. Italian skipper Giancarlo Pedote, who recently crowned his extraordinary 2013 season with a historic second place behind Benoit Marie at the Mini Transat, received a well-deserved gold medal as Champion de France for the class this January by the French Sailing Federation. The skipper of the revolutionary round-bowed Prysmian ITA 747 clinched the #1 world rank in the prototype division thanks to his performances in 6 calendar regattas for the Mini 650 class, and holding back a talented pack of over 100 sailors. Ranked third in 2009 and second in 2012, Giancarlo is also the host of the successful tutorial sailing series CU, now airing on Nautical Channel. The talented Azzurro has now set a new and monumental objective for himself, the next Vendée Globe Challenge on the IMOCA Open 60s, scheduled for 2016-2017. The entire NC Sports staff congratulates Giancarlo Pedote and his team for this extraordinary achievement and looks forward to yet another exciting and rewarding season in 2014. Following his fourth place at the last Transat Jacques Vabre, Bernard Stamm and Damien Guillou on board Cheminée Pojala met with disaster on Christmas Eve on their return route from Brazil to France. A violent wave in 40 to 45 knot winds smashed onto the IMOCA 60 as it entered the Bay of Biscay, literally breaking the hull in two pieces and forcing the crew to an extremely difficult and dramatic rescue by the Norwegian cargo Start Eastfjord, which lasted over 2 hours and brought them safely to port in Rotterdam. The French Navy recently spotted the semi-sunk yacht off the coast of Brest and has now completed towing operations to bring it back to shore. Witnessing the final part of the procedure, the experienced Swiss pro skipper thanked all parties involved in the rescue operation and is now assessing the considerable damage on board in light of the upcoming 2014 racing season. One thing is for sure, thanks to its watertight compartments mandated by the IMOCA class safety regulations, Cheminée Pojala simply refused to sink and forever be lost at sea. And now a special report with Sébastien Destremont.
Welcome to the office. Following his sinking before Christmas, Bernard Stamm's monohull was believed to be lost and laying at the bottom of the Atlantic. Spotted by a plane about 15 nautical miles from the French coastline, the wreck of Cheminée Pojala is back.
We saw some pictures taken a couple of days ago, so we knew the state of the boat. She's floating much higher than we left her. That is strange, and I think some pieces are missing, but we'll see that later.
Summoned to remove the wreck by the French authority, Bernard Stamm and the Harbour Vrax's lifeboat bring the wounded companion back.
We had to take her out of the maritime traffic, obviously. We also hope the wreck will help us to understand what happened, because it is just not normal. And then there are still lots of parts we can salvage.
This boat has had an unusual destiny. In the 2011 Transat Jacques Vabre, Bernard Stamm had to be airlifted when his boat sunk under his feet. Towed and rebuilt, Pojala is at the start of the Vendée Globe a few months later, an odyssey ending by disqualifications. Then, on her way back from Brazil late last year, she sinks again after breaking in half. The boat that did not want to sink is back again, to the surprise of her skipper.
Ouais, c'est une surprise. Nous on nous avait dit qu'il allait couler. Après.
It is quite surprising. We were told she had sunk, but the beacon kept on beeping for several days. We thought it had come loose from the wreckage. Obviously, it didn't sink as she is here, but she is completely destroyed now.
Donc voilà. Mais bon, il est détruit quoi. Voilà, le bateau est détruit, il est mort.
Luckily, the weather is glorious and the towing takes place in ideal conditions.
Et déjà, on a tourné un peu autour pour essayer de voir l'état de l'épave quoi. Et après, on a mis les élingues pour le remorquer. Et puis on a commencé à le remorquer, tout bêtement.
We started by circling around the wreck for a while. After that, we attached the slings and began to tow slowly. It took a lot of time because we couldn't go any faster than 3 knots, but we were very lucky with the weather. It was beautiful and the sea state was perfect. So there you go. Everything is going fine.
Voilà, donc là on arrive juste 2 jours, donc c'est juste bien.
Mooring the wreckage outside the harbour as the night settles, Bernard will decide what to do next. The footage of the submerged and destroyed prototype are full of emotions. Rendezvous next week, same time, same place. Until then, goodbye and face it.
First into the Brazilian port of Rio de Janeiro, Team Maserati has won the Cape2Rio yacht race stretching along the 3,300 nautical mile course from Cape Town, South Africa. Skippered by Italian pro sailor Giovanni Soldini, Maserati led the Class 1 and overall ranking on corrected time virtually from the beginning of this race and aimed at the record of 12 days, 16 hours, and 49 minutes set by the 74-foot American Maxi Zephyrus 4 in the year 2000. A tight sailing team of top international athletes, the Powerhouse crew also includes the experienced French offshore sailor Jacques Vincent, Denmark's Olympic gold medalist on the 49ers Martin Ibsen, and Pierre Casiraghi, youngest son to Caroline of Monaco, and now an experienced transatlantic sailor. Marred by a gale force storm system that swept the fleet of mostly amateurs with winds over 50 knots, this Cape2Rio will unfortunately be remembered for the loss of 47-year-old Angolan sailor Antonio Bartolomeu following the dismasting of yacht Bill, which also injured several other crew members. The complete and final results for this Cape2Rio on the next edition of NC Sports Weekly News. Plus, don't miss this week's NC Sports Buzz for a unique onboard adventure in the South Atlantic with Giovanni Soldini and the Maserati team. Tens of thousands of race fans cheered along the Khalid Lagoon as Italian Alex Carella dominated the Sharia Grand Prix over the holidays and clinched his third consecutive world title in the UIM's F1H20 World Championship. Pushing back a Qatar teammate Sean Torrento of the USA by an 80-74 point margin and leading every second of the 38 laps, Carella is now poised to equal Guido Capellini's historic poker of titles set in the mid-1990s. Four pilots had a shot at the overall championship going into this final 2013 Grand Prix, with Torrente leading on points but ultimately closing in third place. French driver Philippe Chiappe of CTIC China team wedged in between the two Qatar team pilots, taking the second spot on the podium in Sharia and dashing the American hopes for the world title. Still a huge season for Sean, who leaped from 11th rank in 2012 to an impressive runner-up position. Ahmed Al-Ahmeli of Team Abu Dhabi also closed a great season, bouncing back from tumor surgery and getting back in full shape to finish in a remarkable fourth position in Sharia. All eyes are now set on 2014 for the F1H20 circuit, which kicks off in mid-March at the Grand Prix of Qatar in Doha. Plunge into the action with NC Sports.